He was with the Sergeant for about 21 years, and now he does comedy. He's really funny, so please make some noise for Frank Failla. There he is.
That would be the fireman. Anyway, thank you for having me. I am Frank Failla, retired NYPD sergeant, and I can tell you that when I worked, every night the people of New York City slept securely, knowing that I was on the day shift. And I do remember my first call as a rookie police officer. I'm walking down to my foot post, and there's a crowd on the corner, and I gotta clear the crowd. So I said, "You gotta go. These people will not leave." And I said, "You have to leave." And they will not move, and they're looking at me, "We're not leaving." And with that, the patrol car pulls up, and a salty old cop comes marching up to me. He says, "Are you having a problem here, kid?" I said, "Yeah, I can't get these people off the corner." He said, "Because it's a bus stop." One of the best days of my career, though, was when I got to deliver a baby, and I remember this very clearly. I get to the house, and this woman is screaming, "The baby's coming, the baby's coming." And I looked, and the baby was coming. But it was breech. So I stick my hands in there, and she's pushing, and I'm pulling, twisting. The baby comes out. We send them both off to the hospital. About 2 weeks later, she walks into the precinct. And I said, "Are you here to thank me?" She said, "No, I found your watch." But you know, police work wasn't all fun and games like that. I remember one night we got a call for a robbery, and I get to the scene, and we chase the perp, we catch him, and now we have to do an identification. So we're at the scene, and I said, "Is this the guy?" And he says, "Yes, officer, that's the man I robbed." And then there was the night that I stopped the car for suspicion of drunken driving. So I stopped the car, and it was a woman driver. I take her out of the car, and I say, "I'm going to administer a DWI test. Do you think you'll pass?" She says, "Is it written or oral?" Because if it's written, I don't have a pen. So as I said, I am retired. I'm now a real estate agent, and oh, you're real estate. And who do you work for? Okay. So anyway, I am a real estate agent, and in the beginning it was very difficult because I'm not good with technology. I remember I accidentally linked all my listings to a porn site. Yeah. Everybody loves my virtual tours. But I remember in the beginning, my manager said to me, I started with a new company recently, and manager said to me, she goes, "When you have an epiphany, when you have that aha moment, I want to hear about it." So yesterday I went running into her office. I said, "Linda, I got it." She says, "What's that?" I said, "I just realized my computer can be used for more than just Facebook and email and porn." She said, "Yes, real estate." I said, "No, online gambling." So I am married. I have 2 children, and when I first retired, I stayed home and took care of the kids, and man, I should have been suspicious because my wife jetted off to work. So I stayed home, and I had to come up with new ways to punish the children because, as you know, we can't hit them, we can't send them to their room. So I figured it out. You don't take away their iPad, you take away the charger. And then you watch the blood drain from their face as they're watching the battery drain. You should see the look on my wife's face when I take away her batteries. And as I said, my daughter, she's 10, and the other day I had to run an errand, and she said to me, "Daddy, can I just stay home? I'll rent a movie." I said, "All right, I'm not going to be gone that long." She said, "Yeah, you can do that." So I come home a few hours later because the game went into extra innings, and I said to her, "Frankie, what did you rent?" She said, "Daddy, I rented 50 Shades of Grey." She said, "But don't worry, I didn't like it. The book was so much better." And then my son he's a good kid, but I'm a little worried that I might be raising him to be a leg breaker because every once in a while I have to borrow money from him. And then he hounds me to pay him back. And last week I borrowed money from him, I haven't paid him back yet, and I think he's sending me a message because this morning in the bed next to me was the head of my favorite golf club. But he's all excited because he just got his learner's permit, and I said, Nick, come on, get in the car, let's go. And we're driving down the road, and the car hits a curb, knocks over a fence, goes through some bushes. Yeah, thank God he wasn't driving. So we were actually heading over to the motor vehicle, and I got to the motor vehicle, and a woman says to me, can you read the eye chart? And I said, of course I can read the eye chart. E-M-I-L-Y. She said, that's very good, sir, but that's not the eye chart. That's my name tag. So, my wife and I, we've been married 20 years, and she's here tonight. She's actually very supportive. It's so good to see her laughing outside the bedroom. And she really does support my comedy, though, because, and she really feels bad when I feel bad, because last week when I was doing a show, I messed up one of my jokes, and I got off the stage, and she said, what's the matter? I said, I'm upset that I messed up that joke. And she goes, don't worry, nobody was listening anyway. So we went shopping. We bought a new bed. Yeah, $7,000 for a Sleep Number bed, and I still can't get a 69. So she wasn't feeling well, and I said to her, you know, honey, sex is the best medicine. She said, you're absolutely right. The problem is I need long-lasting and you're fast-acting. And she might be onto something, because now that I'm getting older, I find that my body doesn't react like it used to. I need some help for the little blue pills. Aleve. So I grew up in a very traditional Italian household. Perchance we have any Italians here? I didn't think so. I will say though, Italians and Italian mothers, Jewish mothers, they're all the same. They're all the same. However, you guys don't go to confession, and my mother did, and I couldn't understand why my mother never left the house except to go to confession. And I couldn't understand why. And I finally found out what it was. All those years she'd been using jarred sauce. Yeah, it works better in an Italian crowd. Because I'm sure most of you use jarred sauce. What's that? You only have one kitchen? Then what do you do with your basement?
That's what I went out with.
So, my wife and I were at Costco last week, and she said to me, we were walking through, and she goes, oh, I think that's my gynecologist. So I go over there, and I tap the guy on the shoulder. I said, how you doing, sir? I believe you've also seen my wife naked? And he looks at me, and he says, which one is she? I said, oh, she's over there. He goes, yeah, I saw her yesterday. I said, yesterday? She didn't have a doctor's appointment. He said, you realize I'm your mailman. Oh, is everyone having a good time? Yeah. Good. You know, I think I do know you from real estate. I do recognize you now. Yes, I see your card. I'll take it. But I'm not selling anything. Anyway, speaking of real estate, you know, people always think that realtors are up to something, and I remember I went to a wake, and I go to the wake, and I kneel down next to the coffin, and I do my thing, and my sister kneels down next to me, and it was my mother's wake, and she says, I hope you know you're not getting the listing. So my son, I told you, he had to see the sex ed film at school. So he came home, and I said to him, I said, Nick, what did you think of the film? He said, not as good as your virtual tours. My wife has been begging me to play that escape game. Anybody ever play that? The escape room, escape game? If you don't know what it is, I just won't even do the joke, so it doesn't matter. Okay, so we'll move on to the next joke. I have some pet peeves, you know. Just like most people, I don't understand it when people clap after a plane lands. It's supposed to land, it's not a magic trick. Or when people clap at the end of a movie. I really hate it when my wife claps every time I leave the house. The worst, though, is when she claps after sex. Because I can hear her when I'm downstairs watching television. So, She's very security conscious, my wife. Yeah. Whenever I'm going to ask for sex, she tells me, "Whoa, what is your user ID?" I said, "User ID?" I said, "I don't know, Big Frank." She said, "I'm sorry, another member already has that name." I like that one. As I said, I grew up in a very traditional Italian household, and my mother was very regimented, very, very regimented. And it's kind of carried over into my life now because everything is set. 6:30's dinner, 6:40's cleanup, 6:50 we go upstairs for our no time. 6:51 we're downstairs waiting for Jeopardy. She is a court reporter, and she runs our bedroom like it's a courtroom. Whenever we're gonna have sex, she tells me, "All rise." Enter Exhibit A into evidence. When she's finished, she tells me court is adjourned. So I finally had it, and I decided I was gonna initiate sex. So I stood at the end of the bed naked. That's right, ladies. And I said, "Honey, court is in session. I'm going to enter into evidence exhibits D-I-C-K." She sits up and she looks at me and she says, "You know I don't work small claims." I'm Frank Failla, everybody. Thank you.
Frank Failla. Like him? Good. All cops should be that funny, right? Especially when they pull you over at 12 o'clock in the morning.